Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. More of the Blood and Plunder faction reviews for you guys today. Today we're taking a look at the South American tribes list, which covers about 170 years. So we get, again, quite a few goodies here, very similar to the Caribbean list in most respects, with basically a little bit fewer special rules. So, as always, though, we always want to point out that if we're playing the natives, we have to abide by a couple different things, and that's no size 2 or larger ships. If we are the attacker in the scenario, we can deploy half of the units rounding down following lay and wait. All the ships that we do include get paddles for free, and there is no artillery, which of course makes sense. So a lot of similarities between these two lists here. As the thing that's the same here, we any bow-armed units in the force can add poison arrows for 3 points for the whole unit. The unit selection is a little bit different too. We're going to come back to the other special rule in just a second. In the Caribbean list, we get young warriors, warrior archers, and warriors. As the core units here, we get the warrior units leading the core, the archers and the musketeers. But the support units now are the young warriors and warriors, and then also again with access to African warriors unaligned. So basically, we've swapped out the young warriors from core to support in this list. Now, special rules, the Caribbean list definitely rewards us with more, right? We get skirmishers, sound of thunder, which, isn't necessarily a reward. That's obviously a downgrade. And rain of arrows. Here, we actually just, everybody gets elusive. Now, some of the units already have elusive, but I guess it's just, a nice blanket acquisition there. Would have been nice to get more skirmisher things going on. You would think that the South American tribes would also gain the benefit of that, but it is what it is. So, but elusive is still very, very useful. Commanders here, any Southern tribes commander or Antonio Felipe Camarero. And then allied factions, some interesting lists here. Portuguese militia, we haven't seen them much yet. Bandeirantes and Dutch Caribbean militia as well. So a couple flavors of militia for the big army scale games. So as with our Caribbean video here, we'll take a quick peek at the army units that we have available and what elusive will do for us. So we'll be right back. So as we mentioned, guys, here are the 4 native units that we typically get as part of these, but then there's also the African warriors, which are a separate entry. But again, everybody getting elusive, we misspoke earlier, so a lot of the units already come with evade, not elusive, so we add that on top of it. So basically, if we're in cover, everyone in the units in cover, not in a structure, we get another bonus to our range save, which can make them hard to dislodge if we can claim good cover spots on the field. So as we mentioned, the 2 warrior units here, warrior archers and warrior musketeers, take center stage as our core units. So if we take a look here, we start with, they're both trained. The archers, certainly superlative at shooting. They're both pretty decent at fighting. They do have evade, hidden, and scouts, and then evade, slow, reload, hidden, and scouts as well. Slow reload, of course, because of the muskets. Muskets and standard melee, whereas these guys have bows and standard melee. We do have the option to upgrade both for vets. The archers can add pistols per model here, whereas the musketeers can add pistols as sidearms for 4 points for the whole unit. And then if we don't, on the archers, if we don't go the pistol option, we can add musket sidearms for 4 points for the whole unit too, which then transforms them into something a little bit more like the warrior musketeers. So some interesting mixing and matching that we can do here as far as what the units bring and allow us to field. We've covered the young warriors extensively in the last few lists. Just super cool unit here with tons of great abilities. And again, we have the bows built in. We could add thrown weapons if we want. We could also even downgrade them to make them just super cheap at 3 points apiece, and just maybe try and work them into combat or something like that. But that is going to be a little bit risky, especially with them being inexperienced. And in general, just inexperience is going to be kind of the drawback to them. Again, we have our trained and vet guys here. I do love fielding the warriors, though, especially because we are not required to ditch their heavy weapons, unlike some of the earlier lists, and having that fight of 5 makes them just real nasty. Now, They still have a shoot of 6, though, so if we did want to kit them out with any of the ranged options, they have plenty to go by there. We go pistols, muskets, even thrown weapons if we want to ditch the heavy melee weapons, or we can even give them bows and just, add onto that too. And again, might not be a bad idea in some cases just to pay the points for the bows, because again, we have access to poison arrows, but again, it does pile on the cost for the unit to do all these things. So that's a quick look at those guys. Again, very similar to the Caribbean list. Between the two, it does seem like more or less the Caribbean one seems a little bit stronger, although it does give us Sound of Thunder, and that's going to definitely be something, definitely a downside to have to deal with, since most of the time we are going to be dealing with things with gunpowder shooting at us. So overall, a fun list. Let us know, guys, if you've tried either one of these, but specifically the South American one, how you've focused your list between the core and the support on these. Have you gone all in on poison arrows, and how have you been effective versus different lists out there? Have you run it just as a standard commander, or have you brought in the special character as well? Be sure to let us know, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you.